Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Queenie Clem, the literary ambassador from Queenie's Book Talk and Reviews. And today we have the virtual children's author book fair with 8 diverse and wonderful children's authors. So get ready to purchase some books for your grandchildren, your stepchildren, and your nieces and nephews. These authors will discuss themselves, talk about their books, read an excerpt from their books, and I would like authors to introduce themselves, discuss your book, and tell us where to find you and your book. And the first author of the day is Miss Wendy. Wendy, go ahead. You muted. Wendy, you muted.
Sorry. Hi, I'm Wendy K. Blair. I am a motivational speaker, a full-time baker, as well as I am an instructor. I wrote The Cutter Family Aunt Grace Visit. My book goes into detail about my childhood growing up with my Aunt Grace. Every time we went to her house, she always had food on the stove or a dessert baking. She always did a fashion show. She showed us her latest dance moves, and she always was on the floor dancing with us. But we always got a fashion show every time we went to her house. So my book is centered around my Aunt Grace, and it's also a story, it's a activity book, it's a recipe book, as well as a recipe journal. My book also has these cute little pillows that comes with it. You can color in the pillow, throw them in the washing machine and wash them, and the fun starts all over again. We also have a coloring puzzle that you can put the puzzle together, color the puzzle, wipe it off with a Lysol wipe, and start all over again. The book completely comes off the page because you can go on our website, www.wendykblair.com, and you can order your book right there when you click on the home page, as well as if you're burning something in the kitchen while baking, I am going to reach right back out to you and be like, hey, what's going on? Let's walk through it. Let's fix it. So let me give you an excerpt from my book. One of my favorite parts of my book is I introduce bakers into the healthy baking substitutes. I do not like to take all of the sweetness out of baking. So I give you healthy baking alternatives. And one of the things that a lot of the students that I read my book to, they're like, I didn't know that it took science to make certain desserts. And I was like, you have to have science, you got to know math. So this is the part of the book that I find very, very knowledgeable whenever I'm talking to students and we're discussing science and math. I was amazed that these healthy substitutes could bake a cake. The awesome part was when Mom told me that some ingredients have superpowers. Superpowers? I was so excited to see how these superpowers work together to make a cake. Mom said, these ingredients have leaveners that produce carbon dioxide bubbles that gives cakes the superpowers to make them rise. And in my book, in the activity section, you get to create your own superhero in the activity section. So Wendy K. Blair, I'm the author, and this is my book, The Cutter Family Aunt Grace Visit.
Now tell me where we can find you and your books.
You can find my book at www.wendy, WENDYK, Blair, BLAIR.com, or you can find me on Instagram, author WendyKBlair.com. I'm sorry, Wendy K. Blair. And then Facebook is author Wendy K. Blair.
Okay. I have a couple of more questions for you. What inspired you, your children's book?
So a pastor told me one day, she was like, it's been revealed to me that you need to write your own book. And I'm like, I'm not writing a book. It's not gonna be no book written by me. And I was a substitute teacher at the time. So I had a presentation by a female African-American author, and she had the students to line up across the front of the library with all of her letters of no for writing her book and publishing it. And she showed us her one yes letter. And that day while I was sitting in there, I was like, you know what? I'm writing a children's book. I'm gonna give some healthy baking recipes out. And that's my start. And the full circle part was about 3 weeks ago. I ended up in the same school reading my same book to the same students. So
Wow.
full circle.
Yes.
But yes, I'm working on my second book, which will be a series to the Cutter family. And hopefully we will have it published by the end of this year.
Okay, one more thing. Tell us about Berries and Cream Sensational Cakes LLC and where you're located.
Oh, you found me. Okay. So I have a mobile bakery and we cater to the Charleston as well as the Columbia area. We do go to Charlotte for some events, but we're a mobile bakery. You can order online. We deliver to your front door, and we teach baking classes, virtual baking classes. And one of the things that I promoted this week was a virtual baking class with the University of South Carolina PMBA students. So they had a wonderful time with their family. They made fruit tarts. So yeah, we do it all.
Well, thank you for coming in today. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome, and thank you for having me, and thank you for the opportunity. And I look forward to hearing all of these wonderful authors on this panel.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, next we have Audria. I know I'm pronouncing it wrong. Audria, you next.
Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. I love the superheroes, by the way, Wendy. Just had to throw that in there. I love it. As you can see, Scribby is a superhero as well. But I am Audra V. Hurd. I am an author, and I am the CEO of IBG Publications. We do a lot of good stuff such as publishing, coaching, and marketing. But I am here today to talk about Scribby. How you want me to flow, Miss Queenie?
However you want.
All right, so I'm here to talk about Scribby. As you can see, I created Scribby actually last year. She's a spinoff from my superhero who is called Scribblina. But Scribby was designed to help children write books, activate their writing superpowers as well, and just do a whole lot of good stuff. So in the book, what Scribby does is she rescues another little girl who's a Caucasian girl who's being bullied by the school bullies. So the message of the book is to promote racial unity among children, also to be a voice against bullying, while showing children that it's okay to shine for who you are. You don't have to hide who you are under a bush. Go ahead and shine. It's okay. So that's what Scribby comes to do. So I'm going to read just a little brief excerpt from the book. The next day at school, inside the lunchroom, Scribby noticed her classmate Cherry being picked on. Scribby was all too familiar with how this felt, so she went over and sat down at Cherry's table. Cherry and Scribby began having a conversation, and they soon learned what they had in common. Scribby loved to read, and so did Cherry. Cherry loved to write, and so did Scribby. Although their writings appeared to be scribble, they both wrote in a language they seemed to understand. It didn't take long before Cherry and Scribby became two peas in a pod. They began spending time together at school, especially in the library reading. Cherry and Scribby would sleep over at Scribby's house. They played in their superhero costumes and read books by flashlight inside Scribby's homemade tent. The girls loved pitching tents. It made them feel like they were outdoor camping. Scribby and Cherry became such good friends, they hated to leave one another. It was always Cherry and Scribby against the world. I don't know how well you can see that. But that's an excerpt I wanted to share from the book. I'm so excited to also introduce that Scribby has a doll. So we have created a whole lifestyle around Scribby. You can find her on the web at www.scribby.fun. And we got all kind of good stuff out there for Scribby as well. So thank you so much for allowing me to share, Miss Queenie.
All right, I have a couple of questions. What inspired you to start writing children's books?
It was actually inspired by some clients that I serviced. They had created their own children's books, and I just love the whole world of dealing with children. I've been working with children for over 20 plus years. And I kind of watched what they were doing, and it excited me and inspired me. And so I just kind of sat on the sidelines and waited for my inspiration. And one day last year, I was cleaning my room and she just came to me and I was just like, Scribby. She just came to me just like that. And I immediately had her executed, and it's been kind of history from there.
Okay. And what are you currently working on right now?
We are working on the second book in the Scribby series, which is Scribby at Sea. And Scribby will actually learn how to swim. And in this book, she will rescue a little boy who is drowning. So that's the next book in the series.
Okay, can we see Scribby? Can you hold her up?
She's kind of big.
Wow.
And she has her pencil and her writing pad.
Oh, wow. All right. Well, thank you for coming in today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, next we have Kenneth.
Hello, how's everybody doing today? Hello, I'm Kenneth Powers. I'm a teacher in the Detroit area. I've been writing for several years. I began writing in high school, and I majored in journalism in college. Since then, after college, I pursued a career in education, and now I'm writing books. Right now, I'm focusing on fiction. I also write 2 blogs. One is called Balanced Christian Living and Upfront Media. I published my book, it's called In His Own Words, in 2018. And since then, I've presented at churches, and I'm looking to expand more to work with organizations. Okay, the book, In His Own Words, focuses on the life of Stephen Owens, my main character. He's a young teenager in the 8th grade. He struggles with a speech impediment, which caused him to be bullied. And I struggled myself with a speech impediment as well, growing up, and I understand what he went through. He fights back in response and becomes violent as a result. So he also meets up with a troubled foster child, and they begin to get into trouble. Stephen is a adopted child, so I discuss issues regarding adoption, foster care. You know, I was a foster parent for many years as well, so I've experienced it with that. And also peer pressure in today's youth. So also, thank you for having me on.
Would you like to read an excerpt from your book?
Sure. Okay, this is right after a student begins bullying him after they get him upset, he begins to stutter. And this is how he feels afterwards. He says, after this, I said, it seemed like the entire cafeteria was laughing at me. The more I looked at Antoine and his weak goons laughing, the more upset I got. So I got out of my seat, walked up to him and punched him square in his face near his left eye, knocking him out on the cafeteria floor. One of his friends tried to grab me from behind, but I elbowed him in the nose, causing it to bleed. So he backed away and told the other follower to get a teacher to stop me from hurting Antoine even more. While they went to find someone, I started stomping Antoine on his back. I felt I was giving him what he deserved. I bet he doesn't mess with me anymore. Stephen Owens, the principal called, bringing 2 security guards. Stop kicking him right now. But I couldn't stop. I was just getting started. I didn't want Antoine to get up. So both security guards wrestled me to the floor and handcuffed my hands behind my back. I didn't realize that it took 2 grown men to restrain me. I am only 5'4", 150 pounds, but I have been working out, doing push-ups and practicing karate moves that I learned from an after-school class. I try to always be prepared before getting into a fight. And you can find my book on Amazon.com. Put in my name, Kenneth Powers, and the book title in his own words. I prefer that you send me an email. It's Kenneth, Kenneth, Lavelle, Lavell @hotmail.com. And I can give you information about how to get it directly.
All right. What are you currently working on right now?
Okay, right now I'm working on a romance fiction book, Christian romance fiction book right now, involving young people in the church.
Well, thank you for coming in today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, thank you.
All right. Next, we have Christine.
Hello, everyone. I am Christine Ivory. My book is titled Rhymes and Riddles with the 26 letters. Letters in print, also in cursive. In my book, also identified with fruits, colors, and vegetables, also with 1 and 2 syllable rhyming words. I'm going to read a couple of rhymes and riddles for you. I am always sweet. I have a citric taste. My skin is very loose. I am in the citric family with similar fruits. What fruit am I? I rhyme with the beautiful name Ernestine. What's my color? That fruit is a tangerine. Tangerine color is orange, and it begins with the letter T. Read another riddle and rhyme. I am good to eat in the summertime. I come big and small, with or without seeds. I am a picnic favorite. What fruit am I? I rhyme with the name Helen. What's my color? That would be a watermelon. Watermelon begin with the letter W, and the colors are green and red. Also, I have upper and lowercase letters in cursive, also in print. I was inspired to write this book because I wanted kids to learn their alphabets, do rhymes and riddles, and have fun learning. Lowercase letters, uppercase letters, and print, also in cursive. You can find my book at Amazon.com. Key in the title, Rhymes and Riddles with the 26 letters, and key in my name, and you will find my book And thank you so much, Miss Queenie, for having me on today.
Hey, Miss Christine, I couldn't get the first one, but I got watermelon.
Okay.
My question to you is, tell us about your publishing journey.
Well, I am with Pace Publishing book company. This will be my first book being published. And I also have a part 2 to this book. And also I'm working on another project with some more authors.
Okay, thank you for coming in today.
Thank you for having me.
Next, we have Shaletta, and I hope I'm pronouncing it right.
Thank you, Miss Queenie. It's Shalita Anderson. Hello, everyone. Today, I wanted to talk to you about my books. My name is Shalita Anderson. Of course, you know that I'm an author. I'm also a registered nurse, and I also do different programs for children, for ministry, as well as adults. I actually have 14 books, but today I'm talking about my children's books, and I have a book today that I'm going to feature called I Think Myself Happy. So why did that inspire me? I'm the person that sees the glass half full myself. I also realize that there are many things that we're faced with in life, especially our children. I believe they're faced with a lot more than I believe I was in my generation. And so giving them hope and inspiration, that's my assignment, is to make sure that parents and children are inspired to go to the next level. And so when I looked in the scripture and it talked about I Think Myself Happy, well, this is one of the books that came to me. And so I can read a little bit to you. It's called I Think Myself Happy, the Happy Book. And so it has the kids on the front and they're playing together. Actually, they have their copy of the book as well. So it says, I think myself happy when I wake up every day. I think myself happy no matter what comes my way. I think myself happy when I'm on my way to school. I think myself happy when others break the rules. So it's showing the kids, they're playing, they're having fun, but it also shows that everything in life is not fun, right? There are going to be some hard, tough things in life. And so how do they make it out of that? I think myself happy. I do my classwork every day. I think myself happy no matter what others may say. So when other people are messing with them or bothering them, you know, do they have that hope and that inspiration? Most of us know that joy is something that's going to come from the inside, right? And depending on how we were raised, I was raised in a happy home, so we laughed and talked about everything. So even now, some people say, what are you laughing at? You know, but it helps me make it through the day, right? Give me some joy. So I think myself happy when I go outside and play. I think myself happy. I'm happy in every way. So there's more. And then in my book also, there's a prayer at the end, because I believe that prayer helps with everything. You know, it's one of the ways we deal with things spiritually. And so, yeah, that's I think myself happy.
Yeah. And where can we find you and your book?
Absolutely. You can go to shalitaanderson.com, SHELITA Anderson.com. The books are also on Amazon. If you just type in Shalita Anderson books, and then all of my books will come up.
Okay. Okay, one question for you.
Mhm.
What role in the literary industry?
Okay, the first part kind of blanked out.
What is your role in the literary industry?
Wow, now that's a power pack question, Miss Queenie. Well, my role is I cover actually generations. So I have a section for the kids, I have a section for poetry, and then I have another section for self-help. And in addition to that, in my children's book, because I'm a registered nurse, I specialize in, I have a certification actually in oncology. I have a book as well that talks about my mommy cancer and me, for children whose parents have cancer. And the reason why I did that was because one of my colleagues, she knew that I did children's books and she recommended it for me. And that's been very fulfilling to help children deal with that. Because most of the time too, if something were to happen, that child will blame themselves, right? That they caused it. Actually, I was doing a radio interview one day and a lady was telling me that happened in her own personal life. So that inspiration that comes from within, but I have generational things that I do, but I do them based on their generation. So for example, I do things for the kids, I do things for the adults. I do things for the ladies too. And so we just have fun. And just to empower the families is what my assignment is, to make sure. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you for coming in today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Miss Queenie.
Okay, I'm enjoying myself. I hope y'all are too. Next, we have Reverend Nathaniel.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's good to see you, Queenie. It's always good to see you. Thank you for having this forum and supporting the authors as you do. Name of my book that I want to promote today is called Candy from Heaven. And it's a young man by the name of Michael who loves to ride his bike up and down the neighborhood, you know, and he's the fastest bike rider ever in his mind. But he has a nemesis, older lady by the name of Mrs. Brown, who doesn't want any children on her lawn. And so she's always looking out her window and telling these kids to get off of my lawn. And of course, Michael, he's going to do what he's going to do. And so he turns and makes that big loop every time and goes right across a little piece of her lawn. And one day she decides to stand at the fence and she takes a handful of candy and she throws it at Michael. And Michael looks around, he didn't know where it came from. He thought the candy came from heaven. And so he's like, what? And so Mrs. Brown got so tickled at his reaction and everything, he realized that she was standing behind the fence. So he went over and said, did you throw that candy? And he looked in and saw how beautiful her garden was. And she was kind of a lonely, old, mean lady, you know, but she got excited that Michael was excited about her garden. And so she actually allowed Michael to come in. And Michael realized that a period of time, when he looked at her, he didn't see that mean face anymore. She actually took great delight in explaining, you know, how she took care of this garden and this and that. And she realized that Michael loved this garden. And so they became friends. And the book is just a small, simple story about a lonely lady, energetic young boy, and how they became, you know, sort of friendly, and how she became a part of Michael's family. And that also Michael revealed to her that you remind me of my grandma. And by the way, my grandma, who is now deceased, her name is Mrs. Green. And so both of you represent colors like the rainbow. And so it's just a heartwarming little story. Again, it's called Candy from Heaven. I'm actually working on my second children's book, and it's called It's Just Soup. And that book is about, I haven't finished it yet, but it's about a young man who and his family who are, you know, food deprived, and no one really knows it. He doesn't want to tell anybody that he's going through a struggle, you know, with his family. And so when he visits his friend's house and they get the soup, and he's you know, and he's so enamored with the soup. And mom said, well, would you like some more? And then she said, would you like to take some with you? And so the friend looks at him and said, man, it's just soup. What's wrong with you? You know, but anyhow, mom and dad picked up that, you know, something was going on there. And so they figured out a way to get to his mother to let her know that, hey, you know, we'd like to help you, but they want to do it in such a way that it didn't embarrass her or whatever. So my wife has family programs that she runs called Life Esteem. And we have Celebrating Families, which is a, you know, single parent, a parent program that is evidence-based. We also have Strengthening Families, which is an evidence-based program, and Strong African-American Families. All three are what you call evidence-based programs. We offer those free of charge here in the Harrisburg area, thanks to the Dauphin County Children and Youth and Drug and Alcohol agencies that fund it. And so, you know, one of the things that hit me recently was that so many of our children are food deprived. And when they come to our program, we actually have a cook that, you know, fixes a meal. And, you know, it hit us that, yeah, a lot of these kids are going back home to homes where, you know, food is scarce. So anyhow, the story is coming out of a very real situation that I'm working with. And I'm hoping to get more excited about writing children's stories because I've worked with children pretty much all my life, my adult life. And I find out that, you know, they really do take to the stories. And so I've written other things like, you know, I have a novel, Queenie promoted my novel for me. Thank you, Queenie, called The Visit. And also I have a journal called Learning Self-Therapy Through Writing, and many other. I'm mostly a poet. I'm a protest poet. Grew up in the 60s, the 50s, 60s, 70s, and I'm still writing protest poetry. So it is what it is. But this is something that is near and dear to my heart, the children's literature. Thank you for having me.
Okay, are you going to read an excerpt from your book?
I can read a little bit, yeah. It's a short little story, but let me just take it right from the beginning. Michael was like the wind as he rode his brand new bike. It had gray stripes and cool handlebars that looked just like the ones on his father's Harley. Michael rode up the block and back faster than anyone had ever done before. He was sure that his bike made him the fastest bike rider in the history of bike riders, at least in his neighborhood. Michael leaned forward and made swishing sounds with his mouth as he rode faster and faster. He came to a real smooth stop just before he was about to go out into the street. Michael knew that one trip into the street, his bike would ground him for at least a week or even the rest of the summer. Mrs. Brown, the widow, lived at the end of the block. She was a very old, lonely lady who was very mean to all the children that lived in the neighborhood. "Get off my lawn," Mrs. Brown would shout. She was always looking out of her window or sitting on her porch, waiting for children to walk or ride their bikes on her lawn. Mrs. Brown was really angry at Michael and his brand new bike. Every time Michael came down the street, he would make a wide turn and ride his bike over part of her lawn. "Get off my lawn," Mrs. Brown would holler. "Sorry," Michael would answer as he took off once again as fast as the wind. And I'll just stop right there.
Okay, do you want to talk about the Writers Workshop?
Sure. So we created the Writers Workshop, and Queenie has been coming on and has been just a tremendous breath of fresh air to us, and we really love Queenie. And we created the Writers Workshop back in 1977. So we've been around for a couple of days, okay? And through the Writers Workshop, we've had entertained everyone from, Gwendolyn Brooks, Mary Baraka, just going down the line. We've had some outstanding, poets come through here, but also we've developed poets within the area who have really found their voice. And so every Friday night, now that we have, the pandemic and all that, we're on Zoom. And we would love for all of you to come on. I mean, it's for writers of all genre to come on and just, share your works, talk about your works, see how we can support you and you support others. And then as it's on Zoom, it's also on Facebook Live. So we do have a live audience every Friday night. It's from 7 to 9 Eastern Standard Time. It's actually, if you go on Facebook, you go to The Voice 17104 Harrisburg. The Voice 17104 Harrisburg. And then we will have the Zoom information on there and tell you how to get on and all that kind of stuff. Or you just simply, actually, I can give it to you now. Well, I don't have my thing with me. But anyhow, when you come on to The Voice, we'll tell you how to get on. And then you just log on through Zoom and, you can share with us. Queenie actually has what's called Queenie's Corner. Whenever she decides to do it, every Friday night is open to her to highlight a writer of whatever genre. And she's brought us, she's batting 1,000 so far. She's never put on anybody that just wasn't dynamite. And so we love Queenie's Corner, and we have a lot of fun. We also have a gentleman who brings up 4 videos of spoken word artists, that have come, from all over the country, all over the world, really. And we have a lot of fun with that too, because we're exposed to some of the best young and old spoken word artists and poets that are out there. So again, it's from 7 to 9 every Friday night. Please join us.
Thank you for coming in. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
All right, next we have Miss Judy.
Sorry about that. Good evening, everyone. Again, thank you, Miss Queenie, for having me aboard, all these wonderful, beautiful authors this afternoon. I have enjoyed every single one of you. Again, my name is Judy Hendrickson. My husband and I reside in Nash County, next door to Rocky Mount, North Carolina. And I published a book in October 2021 of this past year called Heaven. And this is the cover and how it looks. It's very picturesque and colorist. A lot of pictures. There's a picture of my characters, one of my grandchildren. A lot of pictures, colorful pictures. This book that I wrote is inspired actually by my grandson, Junebug, who was then 9. He, one Sunday evening, as my husband and I were just sitting, was having some me time on the couch, he called me out of the blue. He wanted to know about heaven. He had a whole lot of questions about heaven, and he felt like he would be bored if he go to heaven because he couldn't take his toys, and he would just ask me other questions, and it was kind of comical. But Mom had him call me because he had hitched her up, asking her from the kitchen a lot of questions. And so she said, "Call your grandma. She the preacher. Let her talk to you." So So he called me, and after our conversation, it was birthed in my spirit. Why not just write a book, a children's book based on a child's ideology and questioning about heaven? So that's what I did. I actually interviewed the children because there's 4 of them. When he started questioning me and they saw how inquisitive he was, his other siblings wanted to know some answers to some questions about heaven. So that inspired me to just sit down and interview them and just listen to their heart and their ideas and just hear them. And so as they talked with me, I journaled everything they said. And mostly what is in my book is exactly some questions that they asked me. And so I attempted to answer their questions according to the word of God, but I simplified to help them to understand in a child's, way of what heaven is about. And so that's what inspired me about the book. My purpose also for writing the book is to bring the awareness that Jesus loved the children. And a lot of times children are so full of questioning. And a lot of times their questions never get answered in a mature way. And so I want to bring awareness to children that Jesus, through this book, that Jesus loves them. He is concerned about them, not only in this life, but in the hereafter also. And to release them of having fear of death and dying. And that Jesus has a beautiful place prepared for all children, no matter what race, what color. He loves all the children as well as adults. There's a place for them. Heaven does have a playground just for them. And so I talk with them along that line and answer certain questions along that line in a way that they can understand it. Also, I examined death because we had some losses and the children, it was still fresh with them. And we talked a little bit about that. So I opened that up to them and talked to them according to the word of God about, their loved ones that have passed on. So we share some writings on that. And so with that being said, I'm hoping that this book will be a conversation starter with parents. It will open up parents to just sit down and have a one-on-one with their children, to listen to them more. And even when they're talking or reading this book about heaven, there may be other things that they have within them that would, help them to go ahead and share with their parents. And parents can have that listening ear that they can answer them in a mature way.
Would you like to read an excerpt from your book?
Yes. One of my favorite excerpts is one of the questions that they're twins in my grandchildren language. One of the twins asked, Kayla asked, but how will we get to heaven? Are we going to float there? Float, said Jayla. I'm afraid to float. I might get sick or dizzy if I float. I never floated before. So Junebug eagerly answered, you don't float to heaven. I think that first we grow up and get old. Then we die from diseases and Jesus takes us to heaven. Grandma Annie smiled as she sat patiently in the big red recliner chair, listening to each child as she heard them explain their view of heaven. Jayla said, no, Junebug, we don't just get old and die. Mom said the Bible says we don't have to be old to die. Well, we can be any age, right, Grandma Annie? Asked Maya. Yes, that is true, said Grandma Annie. Before Grandma Annie could get another word out of her mouth, Maya said, I know how we get to heaven, Grandma. Jesus will come back in the sky. All the people that love him will be taken with him to heaven. It will be like magic, right, Mom? Maya turned and looked at her mother for her approval. Let me go
Okay,
on.
where can we find you in your book?
Okay, you can find me on Amazon. Also, if anyone wants to order, I have a PayHip site, and that will be www.payhip.com/Hendrickson, which is my last name, but the H is capitalized. Also, you could cash out me, and that handle is $Judy Vines 01. That's $Judy Vines 01.
Okay, and one question, what are you currently working on right now?
Right now, I am writing on, working on another writing with a group of ministers, and hopefully that'll be out sometime during the summer. Also doing some book signings and some speaking engagements.
Okay, thank you for coming in today. I really appreciate it. All right, next we have Rebecca.
Well, hey, it's me, Rebecca. Finally, last but not least, I am Rebecca Outlaw. My in-laws are the Outlaws. I am a children's book writer. I am a mother of four grown children. I have four beautiful grandbabies, 11, 10, 9 or 8, and 4. My little diva's 4. My books are based on them. They are the inspiration for my books. They are also my books are the inspiration for my company. The first book I wrote is called Tickle Mites, The Adventures of Rar, Rocky, AJ, and Romello, which are my 3 grandsons' names. And based on my playtime with my grandsons, I wanted to write something because there were no African-American books that I knew of out there with African-American characters doing things that my grandchildren were doing. So God just gave me the vision. If you don't see it, write it. So I did. I wrote. And it took me 2 years to write this. It's a children's chapter book targeted 6 to 12-year-olds. And my little diva wasn't born at the time that I wrote that book, so she has her own adventures. I lovingly call her Butternut. So her books are Butternut Adventures. But this is the book with Tickle Mites, The Adventures of Rar, Rocky, AJ, and Romello. And it's based on my playtime with my grandchildren. What they do is they are candy characters. Anytime they see a child sad for any reason, they sing a jingle, and I'll sing a jingle in a sec. I'll sing that jingle for you. But they sing a jingle and they turn into candy. And we deal in subjects like bullying, racism, stereotyping, kindness, and giving. And we use candy to do it. Then my Butternut, when she was born, she became the inspiration for Butternut Adventures. She's this kind, giving little girl in the book who speaks baby gibberish but somehow gets her point across to the adults. And she's so giving, and she brings families together and finds a way to be so kind to other people. And she speaks gibberish doing that. So there's Butternut. That's series 1, and this is series number 2. Papa's Princess Picks Apples. Of course, she had to put her papa in there. So, and by writing my first book, there were no resources out there to tap into. I know one I can get to edit, to illustrate, to market, to publish, and all of that. I didn't know anything about it. God had given me this wonderful, beautiful vision for this beautiful book, and I didn't know what to do with it. So after all the pieces came together, I started my company called Tickle Mites LLC. It is a publishing services company, and I provide everything you need for publishing your book from start to finish. So if you're writing a book, write it, hand it over to me, and I do the rest. So that's my company. Now I've written 2 children's rap songs based on my grandchildren, or based on the first book with my grandchildren, which is the Tickle Mites book. The first rap song is called Candy Swag, and my grandsons are the primaries on those songs. And it is uploaded on all music venue, all the download venues. You can get Candy Swag. The second song, we haven't uploaded that yet. It's called Jump Jump. I debuted that at my authors conference. I had an authors conference in March of 2021. And the authors conference featured a bunch of speakers providing resources that anybody who wanted to know what to do about writing could tap into. And then I had a book fair, which Queenie was also, she graced us with her presence. She was there. And the book fair, my company launched our first client who wrote a poetry book. And we also had some vendors there. We had about 20 vendors there who had an opportunity to network with each other, sell their books. And we had a spoken word, artists. We had a poetry slam there. It was amazing. And my grandsons did perform both my songs. I own the music of the songs. I also own the wording, the rights to it. So every part of the songs, I own it. I'm very proud of that. I also homeschool all four of my grandchildren. So Christine, I definitely want to get a hold of your book. It will be a great inspiration to my granddaughter and my grandson, my youngest grandson. And there are a couple of books, Shalita, I'd love your book, and Judy, I'd love your book, because they would be great inspiration for my grandchildren. I purchase books written by African-American authors that have primarily African-American characters, because I want them to see themselves in those books, who are doing positive things, making positive affirmations, speaking positively, even becoming positive superheroes. And superheroes are not just Superman and Batman. They are heroes who help people, encourage people, motivate people, inspire people to do better and do bigger things and serve God. So definitely it will be purchasing your books. But if you wouldn't mind, I would love to see if the Tickle Mites are around and sing that jingle and get them to come in and perform one of my songs. So let me see if I can flip this camera. Well, I'm here on my phone. And if I sing the jingle,
I hope everyone has been enjoying this book fair, and we are waiting on the Tickle Mites to perform. And I hope y'all enjoyed this.
Because I can't get it comes to Jesus.
All right, thank you, Tickle Mice. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Is there anything else you would like to add, Miss Rebecca?
You can purchase my books at www.ticklemitesfranchise.com. You can email me at rebecca.o@ticklemitesfranchise.com. And it's on all book venues, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Walmart, Target, all of the .coms. Thank you, Queenie, my literary ambassador.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I would like to thank everybody for participating. And this concludes the book fair. I want every author to drop down in the live comments and drop your book links so the readers and the audience can purchase your books today. Thank you again. I appreciate every one of you and have a blessed day.